Hi folks, this is Chris Voss from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Be sure to check us out on iTunes. You can download the iPhone The Chris Voss Show app. So be sure to check back daily. Something I want to talk to you about today on our topic here is if you own a small business, whether it's just one or whether it's more than one people, make sure you devote a certain percentage of your time to a research and development department. Now, you don't have to officially have one if you're a small business, but it's a very important aspect of your business. If you look at a lot of large companies, there's a certain percentage of their business that they devote to research and development. They also put investment money from their capital into the research development department to hopefully bring about more profitable ideas and improve maybe what they're currently doing. So even if you're just a one-man person, maybe you're running a blog or a website, just think of yourself as a company and a portion of your time that you need to spend in research and development. It might be 5%, it might be 10%, it might be less. It depends on what you really want to do. Maybe a few hours every week you want to put into research and development. Research and development you want to think of and take from the grasp that you want to get outside of your normal box. You want to take a look at not only how can you improve things, but what are some real new models of business that you can experiment with. One of the things that people do is sometimes they start businesses or sometimes they start contracts or splits with employees in a sales situation, and they feel very locked into those, like they have to keep doing it as new customers and new employees keep coming in. And a lot of times companies get in trouble because what they'll do is they'll decide to increase the pricing on everything or change the splits with everything with the salespeople, and then everyone leaves or everyone's upset, etc., etc. What we always found with our business that was smart to do is we would change and increment the prices, of course, as they met demand to offset, what was costing us to do business. So as we grew, if we needed to change the sales structure of our employees, what we would do is the attrition would take place. We would go ahead and hire the new employees under the new splits. And if they complained, we'd just be like, look, they're part of an old system, you're part of the new system, this is the gig, you benefit from more. It's the way the game is played. So, same thing we take to our pricing structures. We'd increase our pricing as we would go along and demand would increase for our business. So, one of the most important things you can do is take a look at how things are doing and be able to change and grow. You're not stuck with that one model. What I'm also trying to tell you is that maybe you have a model for your customers, okay, and that's your profit model or whatever it's costing you to operate and make money at, hopefully. Don't be afraid to try new models with new customers. Maybe as new customers come in, say, well, what would you think if we did it this way? And hopefully those ideas might be more profitable to you. So don't be afraid to change that model. The worst thing you do is get locked into this box thinking that whatever model you've created, you've got to just stick with for the rest of your life, and maybe you find out that it's not profitable. So create a research and development time period and a percentage of your time. You need to block it out in your task list so that you sit down and really focus on maybe coming up with new business models for your company, or for maybe improving what's currently going on and making things better. The one story I want to share with you is probably one of the most important stories that had a real big impact on me in my life, and learning to think outside the box and learning how to build things on how they worked. One thing I learned a long time ago in research and development is that if I can make something profitable or make it work in the smallest amount of cost to the company or smallest amount of cost to the project, if I could do that, it can be replicated over and over again. Now, the principle stands in business. If you can sell McDonald's burgers and be successful in one place, likely you can build stores all over the country and the world. KFC, etc., etc. If you can build a great Apple computer, other people might really want one. So the concept is that if you can build something in a very small base, take a look at Apple. They started in a garage. Microsoft started fairly small too. If you can make things work at a very profitable level, it's very easy to expand that model and make it into a very large company. I think a lot of people miss that. I think a lot of people, I've met people that have thrown hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions of dollars at a business venture, business startup, and they've completely lost their ass. And I'll just sit and go, I don't know how you got into my business and you blew it. But they usually go spend money on completely stupid stuff, and instead of having a good, succinct model, their model was maybe based on image or whatever the case may be. They had no idea what they were doing at their very core. But for the most part, this CEO a long time ago that I worked for, he sent me out one day and he says, I want you to go do this project, and I want you to put a lot of different variations on this project, and just take a couple days to do this project, and let's see if it works. And I want you to try it several different ways. Just put whatever, your spin on things. So I took this project and I went out and I tried to make it profitable. I worked my variations, constantly tweaking it. Okay, does it work this way if we do this, if we dance this way, et cetera, et cetera. The one thing about a lot of different business models, a lot of different ideas, is that sometimes you have a good idea, but you've got to tweak it. It's kind of like a combination on a safe. You've got to get the right click, 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 and turn to the left, turn to the right. You've got to get the right variations sometimes to get the model to work. So some people try something and they just give up. But the key is to go, gee, how can we make this work? Okay, there's a lot of examples of that in business. Steve Jobs, I think, walked through the IBM basement, research and development, saw the mouse. They couldn't figure out what to do with it. It was developed years earlier. But Steve Jobs said, I know what to do with that. And look what he did. So my CEO sent me out. So I tried all these different things to make the thing work. It was a complete failure. Nothing I could do could make this project work, and the concept that it was based upon. So I came back to him and I said, after I think 2 or 3 days, I said, the thing's a failure. You can't make this turd fly, no matter what you take and do. And he says to me, one of the most important things I've learned probably in my lifetime. He says to me, he goes, great. Well, I guess it still doesn't work. Okay, thanks. And I said to him, whoa. It still doesn't work. What do you mean? And he goes, yeah, we tried the same concept like 2 or 3 years ago, and we were just kind of curious to see if the marketplace had changed or consumers had changed, where they would be more willing or be open to the concept nowadays. But it looks like the consumers haven't changed and the concept still doesn't work. And I'm like, hold on. You sent me out to go do something that you knew didn't work or that wouldn't work. And he goes, well, yeah, but we sent you out because the market changes and we want to see if it would work and if, possibly you could find the right combination to make it work. But I guess what we have to face now is we now know that it does not work once again. So there's a real wisdom in that, being able to, number one, do fast failures, we obviously didn't spend 2 years and $20 million on that project. We tried it in a very small cost basis so that we could try and make it work. And in the end, once we found it didn't work, we shut it down. And we were able to go, okay, that still doesn't work. But it's a very interesting concept when it comes to thinking out of the box, into testing things as to whether they work or not, whether they still work, being able to go back to things. Because I've had so many people that will say, well, we tried that and it didn't work. And I'll be like, well, how did you try it? What did you use? What were the mechanisms? What were the settings? What was the combination, if you will? And what's always interesting is they'll tell me something. Usually they only tried it once, of course. Most research and development companies, they're going to take an idea, they're going to tweak it, adjust it, they're going to work the combinations, they're going to try and make that thing go. And you just can't try it once and go, well, we tried it once and it doesn't work. Okay? It's kind of like your relationships. You keep getting relationships with the opposite sex or whoever your significant other is, I should probably say. And even though maybe some of your other relationships didn't work out, you keep trying to make the new ones worked out. And hopefully you keep trying some different ways, and hopefully they improve as you go throughout them. Zsa Zsa Gabor exception. So anyway, that's my ideas. Create your own research and development department. Make sure you try new ideas, and make sure sometimes you try what you don't think will work or what hasn't worked in the past, and maybe you just need to give it a recombination. If not, find a new and better way to make it work. But make sure you're developing that aspect of your business. You have to keep coming up with new ideas. You can't keep riding into the sands of time, because the sands of time will blow you away. Anyway, thanks for coming by the Chris Voss Show. Be sure to check out my consulting firm, Strategics One. We teach business and social media. Thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.